Alright, good evening everyone. System Chalk here with the 36th episode of the Priest Legacy DLC for Cultist Simulator, playing as Harold Davidson. Now, as usual, because I've been away from the game for a little bit, I'll do a quick review. But I think one of the big things that I've been working on implicitly, and I'd like to maybe make explicit, is the aim of the lock scars. So in order to get a lock scar, we learned with our heart and our moth that we need at least a 10th level lore. And this is ultimately the reason why I've been pursuing all of the different books. Now, we've got quite a few now, so we're going to be able to sort of work through them. But it's also helpful to take a look at some of the books that we'll be reading. So this, for instance, is going to be a Forge book. So this is actually something that we might be, it might actually take us up to a level where we could consider getting a level 10. The two principles that we are most likely to handle next will be Lantern and Forge. The ones that we're going to probably have a harder time with would be... I'm actually a little surprised about this edge. I'm wondering if I'm using it in something else. Yeah. I just know because I had the edge lore before. But yeah, so the most likely situation for us is going to be Lantern, Edge, and Forge, just simply because we really just need to do one more upgrade, and we'll be on the way. Of course, the higher level, expeditions you go on, the more likely you're going to wind up with more precious tomes. But a necessary condition for the lock scars is the level 10 lore. The ones that we're less likely to wind up with, Grail is probably the least likely, and this is simply because we've got 2 Grail lore kicking around right now, and we haven't really doubled anything up, and so we're going to need to work on that for a while. In the case of Nock, we're actually Nock and Winter, we're in a little bit of a better situation. So we can upgrade the Operation the Declining Sun, and even with Nock, we could sort of move that first lore up to the Consent of Wounds, and then move it to where Lantern and Forge are. Of course, again, because there's other things we can do with our study verb, we're not going to do that. My usual routine, as I'm sure you've probably noticed by this point, would be to first handle any books, because that's only going to require 60 seconds for an already translated work, and then 120 to translate and read a work that you have the language for, and that's obviously a lot less time than what you would spend doing an upgrade. Even if you have all of the materials available to you, things like Glimmering and Erudition, it just takes longer than translating and reading a given work. So my priority is definitely to read the works that I've got on hand. Now, that's sort of the stated goal. There's going to be a couple of other steps that I need to take care of, because as we talked about before, right now we have got enough health for 5 lock scars, but we definitely need more than 5. And so there's going to be a question in terms of how we achieve that. But probably better for us to get the lore before we start doing any kind of permanent changes. The other thing that I need to do, having stated the goal, is to just kind of see where I'm at as far as the playthrough is concerned. So we are currently in a season of suspicion. They've already picked up the notoriety, but we've got a raw prophet already on the way to pick up the evidence. We are writing the Edge. Yeah, so I think the question for me was, why am I not doing an exploration right now? I suspect it's probably just because I wanted to read the text for the Vandershaft Collection for this stream. And the other, maybe more secondary consideration is the fact that I do still have quite a few expeditions on the table right now, and so it's possible I may not have enough funds to be able to do all of them, but that's a nice problem to have. So let's see what we've got for the Vandershaft Collection. A cramped little museum in a provincial town, long closed to the public since an outbreak of a peculiar rapture in the room where they keep the pressed flowers. Only the very curious would ever pay attention to the place and its close-warded storeroom of ill-omened treasures. So one of my guesses here would be that we probably want to bring the Nock disciples, but let's take a look and see what the description says when we include the percussicant. The door to the painted chamber of the Vandershaft Collection is locked and warded. The building is said to be haunted by flowers. So, there's always two ways, so my suspicion would be the other one that we might consider would be a forge, but in this case we'll bring Enid along and we'll add Neville if we do need to use Nock, and then, you know, we'll add other followers as required. So for the dream slot, we're already clearing out the despair. We are reading The World Does Not Weep. I'll reread the text for that. And we probably don't need to worry about the Season of Suspicion simply because we're already considering the evidence, and that's going to take 11.5 seconds at minimum. There's, I think, going to be another step after that. So the book that we are reading, Brown Joshua found this in a well in Hamath. There is an unlikely story that it was abandoned by Alexander during his retreat from Issus. The unknown adept who wrote this proclaims the world forgets, but the ivory dove does not. The text contains a number of prescriptions for ensuring that certain acts are remembered, including a rite which requires a sacrifice in a particularly monstrous mode. And on we go. Alright, mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane, if that means anything. And we have a season of ambitions coming up, so I may want to use the restlessness in something, but we'll see where we're at after the work is done. Alright, I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. So I got a little lucky there. In this case, the raw profit wasn't needed, but it's nice to have that option available. Okay, so we've got a warded door, so Forge or Knock will defeat it. We knew that was coming up, but we also need to worry about the fifth eye curse. So Heart or Winter will suppress the curse. Fortunately, we already have a percussagant inside of the expedition. So what I'm going to do here is we will add Neville for a start. This is because we want to get past the door. I want to add the raw profit reasonably quickly, and this is just to be able to preserve it. And then finally, we will add a heart follower to make sure that we've got the 10. The 10 heart, that is, for the fifth eye curse. We only get one try on the curse, so I do need to make sure that I have enough in place. And of course, I'm also a little bit more sensitive to failing tests in expeditions right now, just simply because I need to make sure I have enough money for all of them. How are we on? Okay, so I am going to want to try and do some more passion painting when I can. We bear a great power of opening will almost certainly shatter this warded door. So 14 seconds for the raw profit. I think I'm going to leave it open right now because the raw profit should be available soon. I finished the manuscript. And the sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. So we're going to move on to the stag door again. That requires reason. And then for the work verb, there's a couple things that I can do here. So I could do a painting. Of course, that's going to require, we do need an inspiration for that. So I may just want to wait for the restlessness to be able to handle that. And so in the meantime, I could do the sermon. That will earn me funds. I could also try and do another. We'll do another commission. That's not necessarily the best for my. It's not necessarily the best for my my income, but it's nice to have the. It's nice to have some of the side effects of turning in commissions. So we will take care of the secret histories. The hours tried to bury the memory of what happened to the wheel, the flint, the tide, and the seven coiled, but the dove won't permit it. Nor will he permit what happened to the first egg to be forgotten, although it is perhaps the one thing that the watchman might ever forgive. So we have our first invocation of the ivory dove. So in this particular case, we don't need to upgrade the operation of the declining sun on its own. However, we might want to consider it because that would bring us up to level 10 and so would allow us to get our next lock scar. Again, not a high priority right now because we have other things to read. And we have a new rite, the Rite of the Beast Division. The assistant's name is taken from them in a place or on an occasion of power, and they are divided into 9 parts. They can be hunted like an animal too, but times changed. Alright, so we're just going to move on to the next text that we have on our list. So, on Matthias and Amethyst Imago, Transformation, an account of an occult romance. A certain Iavogos claims to have written this in a single night as part of his initiation into the Alpine branch of the House of Leith, that order of immortals who could not pledge themselves to any hour. And I'll make this explicit because I was delighted by the comment on Ibn al-Adim. Worth remembering, Dr. Ibn al-Adim, called the Alapine, has an interest in overlooked history. He has offered you a commission, and of course we talked about the fact that he's not mortal, and so there's the other connection there. We cast Matthias out, and we pronounced a curse upon the amethyst imago, but we watched them in dreams. We saw them pledge themselves to the forge, to change themselves and ascend anew. Into the fire they fly. Right, nothing. My words cease like sand in a glass. So the raw prophet isn't actually going to do anything for this. We won't do anything. So this isn't for... This isn't to assist the opening. This is just simply to preserve the raw prophet. We'll be adding the heart follower next. In the meantime, I can talk with people about the commissions, so we'll have a chat with Count Jannings. Now, there's a small argument against doing this, for the simple reason that the reasons why I like doing commissions are not just the Spintrea, but the side effects of things like erudition and glimmering. Well, I don't need to generate... erudition and glimmering as well as the mystique. I don't have an investigation on me, so I don't necessarily need to generate a lot of mystique. And I'm not currently upgrading any lore. On the other hand, it is nice to just kind of keep, it's nice to keep acquiring things. So if I have a nice little, a nice little stack of, Spintrea that I can sell off if I need them, I prefer that to, the alternative of just sitting on commissions and not working them for a while. We will go back to the sermons, we will go back to painting, but for now I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I had some time to do some commissions. They don't take that long to turn in either, so... Okay. So 2 seasons of ambitions. That'll be two paintings. One of them will be passion. I'm not sure if the other one will be, though. I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. It's not quite ready to turn in with Dr. Redeem. Just trying to think if there's anything else I want to do with the talk verb right now. I could try and kill the notoriety with a heart follower, but we're more than likely going to take out the mystique. Actually, that was one thing that probably didn't serve me well. Like, if I let the mystique die, I could have used a heart follower to kill the notoriety. Well, we'll worry about that later. I think we'll just let the talk verb stay on its own for a little bit. We'll turn in with Dr. Redeem, and then maybe we'll consider using the heart follower for that, what we just talked about. The watchman, who is the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the lantern lore and I dream of this temptation, I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. So this will be an input to a painting. The expedition continues, so we will bring in Clovette as soon as we finish with our work here. Now this might generate a fascination, I can't recall. I do know it sometimes brings up secret history as well. And in this case, I do believe I have a fleeting reminiscence to be able to get rid of it. Nice. The attention of the hours is drawn to the bloodiest wars. Afterwards, the histories are braided like hair. There's a great chamber in the mansis through which a painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. So I think we're just going to head straight back to the stag door in this case. And we finished the commission, so that's going to give me something to use the talk verb for. And I was talking about how it would be nice to only have notoriety to contend with, but usually I like to try and get rid of the staleness sooner rather than later, so we're gonna do that now. I have what the doctor requested. We'll see what the money situation is after the painting. I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So in this case, we're not going to try doubling up the erudition because we just have too many books to go through. This is the first of the practices that the Imago and Matthias used to begin their ascent to power. They have risen beyond our sight, but their flames may yet burn in the Mallory. So here we have the shaping chant. I think that's filled in the gaps. The proper words must be employed when change comes. So this is a good example of, it's a little bit like knock, really. This is a really good example of something where I can achieve the level 10 lore that I want, but it certainly takes quite a bit of effort. So in this case, we'd go from the Smith's Secret to the Ardent Orison to the Shaping Chant to the Candidate Invocation, and only then would we be able to do the upgrade to the level 10. So if I'm sort of stalled out, if I've used all of my expeditions, if I don't have the money to be able to do expeditions, it's a very good use of the time to start working towards that level up. But obviously, the amount of time that's spent there, with the amount of time that we would be spending on there, we should be getting some extra books as we go through expeditions, and so it's maybe not the best use of the study, particularly because you can subvert different types of lore into each other. And so if I wind up having a surplus of another type of lore that I can eventually turn into Forge, that makes a little bit more sense than just trying to brute force all of this, because of course, presumably you're going to spend the time also trying to find the components, like the erudition, glimmering, the different skills that you need, and so on. Anyways, we will move on to the Deeds of the Scarred Captain, painstakingly assembled by the Soldier of Fortune and sometimes remittance man Pavel Shulga during his years in Greece. An account of the founding of Mycenae by a scarred captain who first slew 7 monsters to make the land safe. And I suppose I should be checking to see what I want to do with the talk verb. I don't have a commission to turn in right now. So I suppose the question is it all that painful for me to try and get someone like Clovette or Dorothy to clear out my reputation? So we'll discuss occult business with our follower. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. And in the meantime, let's take Dorothy and add her to the expedition. It's not all that urgent that I get rid of the notoriety, but it's something that I can do, and vitality's usually a useful one to have. Oh. So suspicion's coming up. Colors of the Night. I don't think we'll spend on paints. We're really just trying to get rid of the staleness here. And we'll see if we can hold on to things long enough to use the restlessness, but actually, I know we won't be able to do that, so I'll either have to do a reputation-based painting or I'll have to find another use for the restlessness. The curse shrivels. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. And my recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. So, lucky me. Oh, hang on. It's a glimmering. So, a little extra mystique for my effort. One staleness. So under normal circumstances, I wouldn't want to do a reputation-based painting, but we've got 40 seconds left on the reputation, so let's... I'm gonna wait this out a little bit. I think this is a fascination now. Oh, this is actually a little inconvenient. Winter passes the clothes, passes the skin, nestles in the veins. I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Meniscate and the sun and rag since the intercalate, when the true sun was divided. When I woke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. So this will eventually become dread, but we will handle that when it becomes a problem. So, moving on, we will head back to the Stag Door. Not a whole lot else for me to work with right now. Now, the reason why I'm waiting on the restlessness is just to see what Clovette winds up picking up. Actually, I wouldn't normally have done this, and I've kind of blown it now. Because, of course, now I'm opening myself to the possibility that the notoriety gets picked up. As the captain destroys each monster, a flood of blood rises higher until at last a priestess drowns and is reborn as a serpent goddess. She blesses the captain, and he departs for the house above the forest, leaving Mycenae to reign supreme after the flood of blood subsides. And here we have another colonel's names, and this is something a lot more credible towards moving up to a level 10 lore. Moving on, though, we've got the Devour Tantra. Diplomat priest Stanislav John Schaller transcribed this from the Library of a Red Long, but his manuscript remains in a private collection in Karashim. The Devour Tantra warns of the uses and dangers of appetite, but devotes an entire passage to the star-limbed hunger-bringers, who it describes with obvious affection. Okay. So, we'll see how this turns out. Again, I rather suspect I've bungled as far as the investigation goes. Well, we might get lucky. Wrong kind of attention. The city is rife with journalists and detectives and other meddlers. How long will they leave me in peace? So, normally I don't want to spend on paints on this, but let's make it happen. Bad luck. Optimism is the spice which saves. So here we'll have a chat with Count Jannings just to get another commission. The Good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. And in this case, we'll see whether or not this translates into cash. Okay, Heart Commission. Art commissions are kind of nice because they give you the possibility of generating a vitality, which has other uses. In the Painted Chamber, our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. And my recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So here, obviously, this isn't very helpful anymore. We've got our mystique back, but we're not avoiding the Suppression Bureau. They've already found the notoriety. We have got some cash for that, though. I wasn't expecting that outcome. Now, I think I'm going to do something a little reckless here. So we're going to throw all our passion into this particular painting. You never know, this might be a living. And we're going to use this bitter atmosphere as an inspiration. So normally I wouldn't want to do this. We already have, the bone flute and the Elgbaline manacle. Of course, we've already seen references to the Emperor and Winter. But in this particular case here, this is just a way that I can... I'm going to wind up with the negative consequences of Winter, but in this case I can at least be up the painting for it. There is a great chamber in the mansis through which a painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. Okay, and I think I do have a couple of things that I want to work... on with the dream slot, but they're not relevant yet, so we're going to go back through the stag door. Oops. In the Painted Chamber. The walls of the Painted Chamber carry scenes of war from all the major histories. Vienna falling to the worms, the sovereigns of the Leashed Flame burying the martyr soldiers of the Knot Sisterhood, the meeting of Alexander and the Shadowless King. Along one wall, a shelf is stuffed with junk and curiosities. So Dr. Adim will be available for a commission in just a minute. If a hunter has found notoriety, they will try to use it to create or upgrade evidence. If they're meticulous, they'll always succeed. If they're erratic, they're more likely to fail, but they can occasionally create evidence even without notoriety. The doctor would like my help with his research. And the Devour Tantra, a million blazing fires in the belly engulf what has been swallowed by the multiform mouths. And we have another delightful sacrament for it. So we're still not at the point where we could say that Grail is on its way to, excuse me. We still can't say that we're on the way for Grail to get up to level 10, but we are making a bit more progress. On to The Irreproachable Traditions of the Society of Noble Endeavor. The members of the Society of the Noble Endeavor adopted noble names as their at their initiation. Parzival, Roland, Oysen. They drew their inspiration from the Leashed Flame, which gave the island of Britain such appalling power in some histories. One Samuel Partridge has chronicled their efforts. Their endeavor was no less noble, a furious arcane conflagration which would refine them into something more than human, but such transformations are rare, and they often ended less nobly in ashes. I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. And so we have. Now this will be helpful. The Season of Ardors is going to give us a contentment, which will probably help us with what is going to come as a result of the painting that we're doing. Here's what he needs. A big lantern commission. So normally I would send the raw prophet out to deal with the evidence, but we're not quite there yet, so now we are. A book of pressed flowers emanating a peculiar scent, 3 elderly Baedekers, a collection of butterflies painted black and white, and the real treasures, an oddity in a glass case, and a cloisoned coffer of rare books. Thank you, Neville. Thank you, Enid. Thank you, Perguscant. Okay, so the jumble is just something I can send to Oriflammes. We've got the Paradoxical Curio. Sometimes it is hard to be sure if an arrow slew the Empress Herodias or the Empress Eudokia. Sometimes it is possible that an Ormlu clock was stolen in the sack of Vienna, even as it rested safe in the vaults of Rome. I hate to compare this to other games in this way, but this actually reminds me a little bit of the Dragon Break, which happens in Daggerfall, the second Elder Scrolls game, and is referenced in the subsequent games. They actually have there's a book, so there's a bunch of lore books in Elder Scrolls if you haven't played it, and you can read up on those events. All right, I believe we can read the Geminiad. Which becomes an artifact as well, and the Watchful Tantra. Okay, so we're up a couple of books. So we're going to send the raw prophet off to deal with the evidence when it comes up. We've got a rattling in the soul, so that is going to translate to restlessness, but we are going to have some staleness that we want to paint away, so I don't think that's going to be that big of a problem. And that'll time out kind of nicely because we've got 60, it's more than 60 seconds actually, but we're going to need the 60 seconds at minimum to deal with the passion recharging. And I really don't see any reason not to go to the Chateau Reveline. I know we're getting close to the end of the broadcast, but I don't want to artificially shorten it just for text. So, Chateau Reveline. The favorite stories of the Comte de Reveline claim they descended from the first Sun King. Other stories have them prowling in the forest in wolf shape. They are all long gone. Their rotting chateau remains. Not all its malignities have been uncovered. So one of the things I was thinking, when you see references to forest, so you've got references to forests and wolf shapes. So whenever I see wolves referenced, it always seems to be in the case, it tends to be associated with winter. But of course, woods would be moth, and neither of those actually are convincing enough for me to bring either type of follower along with me on the expedition. So let's see what the text says here. The remote and rotting chateau of the Comte de Reveline was looted long ago. We have found hints that it was not looted thoroughly enough. There may be a secret room. Equally, there may be a curse. Okay, so secret rooms are definitely a lantern job, and curses a little harder to tell, but hopefully it'll be one of the heart or winter ones. Wow, we got lucky. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. It's a little inconvenient that we used the prophet that way, but obviously it's a pretty reasonable assumption that you're going to have evidence if a notoriety gets picked up. Alright, our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So, hidden door, lantern, or knock. and in this case, the Dry Soul Curse, Heart, or Lantern. So actually, in this case, it doesn't really matter which one we bring, but we will bring along Slee to help, and we'll probably add the Raw Prophet because that's what we normally do. We'll wait for the painting to finish, and then we'll wrap up for tonight. What am I doing? What have I done? This will break someone's heart, perhaps everyone's. I made something unique, something extraordinary, something I will never dare to exhibit publicly. Oh, I was a little worried that might happen. But like I said, we've got the Season of Ardors coming up, so not as big. Oh, actually, we also got a contentment from this, so. There's our extra glimmering. So the icy atmosphere is going to turn into dread. Okay, it's level 6, so that's... Oh, and a bitter atmosphere. Okay, this is actually going to get a little scary for a while, but we will get the contentment will trigger before anything else. So we are going to have to deal with the dread, but we're not going to have to deal with it immediately. And finally, the wolf divided. Capit Gerrit Lupinim. The sun was divided, and this is its wound. This is a terrifying image, by the way. I think it was Sarah Gordon who did these, but I did wind up getting the tarot deck on the Etsy shop, so I get a chance to see the art in a physical form. It's a very, very good little product, and I wasn't paid to say that. Alright, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you have been enjoying the series and have not yet done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you like the video or would otherwise like to help the series get noticed, likes definitely do help me with that. And of course, leaving a comment leaves me feeling quite good. But those also do help the videos get noticed as well. Please always consider that optional, but very much appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I will see you Wednesday in the next episode. Till then.